All right. Thank you so much, Katie. Hello. My name's Elliot Carter. I am with Disability Network Washtenaw, Monroe, Livingston, and so is my co-presenter, Mark.
Hello, everybody. I'm Mark Himes. I'm with Disability Network, Washtenaw, Monroe, Livingston. I do most of my work in the Livingston office, but glad to be down here in Ann Arbor again.
All right, yeah. So we have a variety of presentations that are available that we're going to be giving one today that's just an overview of what we mean when we talk about assistive technology and device accessibility. We also are going to show how someone with a visual disability uses assistive technology. Mark will give us a little demo of that. And then we can move into the different categories of adaptations based on what the audience in here and online are interested in. So, first of all, assistive technology is a term that's been around for a long time because it can refer to things that are, both very high tech or very low tech. The general definition is any device, equipment, or system that makes living with a disability easier for the user. So that could include things that are as simple as, a doorknob attachment that makes it easier to grip, but it could go into things that are as complex as like a power chair or a stair lift. Now, accessible technology is what is kind of, there's more of a focus on accessible technology because we already have, most of us already have, a phone, smartphone, laptop, or another device that can, as we know, do a whole lot on its own. And a lot of those have features that are built in or easy to obtain to either make them easy to use or even to use as you move through the real world. So accessible technology, the definition we're using is a device that's designed for the general public that is able to be used by people with disabilities, either by offering built-in accessibility features or by being compatible with assistive technology. So when I say AT, I'm referring mostly to assistive technology, but as they are both, AT, the initials are AT for both, I will use it kind of generally. So in this presentation, this is actually a very comprehensive list that I often reference when I'm helping folks in our assistive technology program at Disability Network. I'll talk about that a bit more at the end. So we can go as deep in or as shallow as we would like because I have a lot in here that I could throw at y'all, but I want to make sure that this is as relevant to you as possible. So we will have different categories of general impairment, visual, hearing, cognitive, and motor. Under each of those sections, we will show the accessibility settings that you might already have access to, apps and other downloads, so things that you could put on the smartphones, tablets, computers, etc., to help with accessibility, and then other assistive technology devices that you can usually purchase separately. And even though we have them in these categories, a lot of the adaptations that we're talking about are going to overlap. And so, and also there's a lot more that we can't get to in this presentation. But we're hoping this will be interactive and that we can answer any questions that you all have. So before we get into talking about all of these different things, I wanted to just make sure that folks understood some definitions that we may be mentioning. First of all is an operating system, or OS. The operating system is the software that controls all of a computer or smartphone's basic operations. So I like to call it the brains, honestly, of the device. So when you hear operating system, you may not hear operating system very often, but you may hear the different things that are OSs talked about a lot. For example, Mac OS, that's the OS for MacBooks and other Apple computers. iOS is the OS for iPhones and iPads, so very similar to Mac OS, but different because it's a smartphone. It's a smaller screen. It's going to need to perform different functions. Similarly, we have Android. That's the OS for most other smartphones and tablets. Windows is the OS for PCs. And then Chrome OS is the OS for Chromebooks, which are available as a laptop or as a tablet. So that's a newer one that has come onto the market. On top of the OS, you have the user interface, or UI. So again, think of that as being on top of the operating system. The operating system does control the user interface, and that's the part of the operating system that handles how you interact with the device. So the look and feel. So to take this as maybe a to use an example to maybe illustrate what this is like, think about like a television. So you have your television, all the parts on the inside are what make it work, display images. But the way that the user controls the television is through the remote control, typically. So in that case, the remote control is actually the user interface. Now we have smartphones, tablets, computers, and they all can, they're all meant to be, held in your hand. So the user interface and the operating system kind of are in the same device. So just generally, it's the look and feel of how each of these devices works. So how icons look, how large the text is, how you move your finger to perform certain functions. And there's a lot of different adaptations that we will be making to the user interface that we can talk about. So before I move on, I just threw a lot of tech jargon. Is anyone unclear about what I mean or have any questions? All right. We can always, if you are watching on YouTube, go ahead and type them in the chat, and we will address them as they arise. Just one final disclaimer about this presentation is that we don't believe that any device brand or app is necessarily the best, because, for one, most of the adaptations we're talking about can be done on any device. In some communities, particularly like the blind and visually impaired community, there was a lot of interest in Mac and Apple products, and they were said to be, for a long time, the gold standard for visual accessibility. And that is true that, the functions, the assistive technology functions like screen readers and other visual adaptations, those came out of the box, basically, with Apple computers first. But as things progress, all of these companies sort of get the memo, and then they all kind of get on the same page. So the best operating system is the one that you are most familiar with. We don't want to say that Apple's the best, Android, whatever. It's the one that you are most familiar with. And when we are doing tech assessments at the Disability Network, we can work with any type of operating system. And then finally, we will be talking about some products, but they're not endorsements from us or from Disability Network. We are showing these videos for their educational value. So as we move through this presentation, can keep the following sort of questions in your head as you think about how each of these adaptations might work into your life. So in your experience, and these are rhetorical questions, we don't need an answer from the audience, but just think about what computer or phone that you've had was most comfortable for you. And if you can think what made it comfortable for you to use, that's helpful in picking out what assistive technology you might need. Conversely, think about what maybe bothers you about your phone, computer, or other device. There's lots of things that might bother you that can't necessarily be addressed with assistive technology, but many of them can. You also want to consider your device use. What are you typically using your device for? What you would like to use your device for. So school, work, filling out online forms. All of those are going to have different considerations. And then also, most of these will be free, but the assistive technology devices will usually be costly, not necessarily though. So just thinking about how much you would want to spend, and keep in mind that a lot of these can be done for free, so that number can be 0. So at this point in the presentation, I'm going to pass it over to my coworker, Mark. He's going to take control of the screen here and show a little bit about how he uses the various accessibility features on his MacBook.
All right, if you want to hold that microphone up to me, because I'm... Okay, so hello, I'm Mark. So this is... I'm going to take over the screen here behind me. This is going to be really exciting to check this out. So, because I need both hands to do the key commands to make it bigger, as you can see, the screen is getting larger, which is helpful for me because I have a vision impairment. So this is kind of fortunately or unfortunately how big or how small my screen is. So let's turn it into how I view the screen here. So give me just 1 second while I adjust the screen here. Make it into, did I click the wrong thing? Oh, yeah.
So, Mark, when you're doing that, zooming in and zooming out, is that something that is something that you have to like go into settings and enable, or is that something that just anyone can start doing on their MacBook right now? Do you happen to know?
So, yes. Sorry, thank you. So yes, anybody can do the zoom in feature and zoom out. They would have to go into their system preferences and turn it off, which apparently it is really difficult for me to do this. So 1 second. There's one. There we go. And I'm on display already. Okay. So there's a lot of built-in features already in the MacBook. And the an Apple operating system, which is super helpful for us. And I can't talk and multitask at the same time. So
That's all right. So what are you toggling on right now, Mark? I see that you have your mouse over some. Oh, okay. Now we have a big change that happened. So
we have a big change. Everything is opposite now. So it is inverted, which is my favorite viewpoint because it just makes it a little bit easier for the lettering and the words to pop out. Having a mostly white background with black text is difficult for me to read, but it's a lot easier and so then there's classic and or smart. So smart would actually keep the images and videos regular, so you don't see inverted images like a YouTube video or something of that nature. For ease of use, I wanted to show the accessibility feature to the Mac system because I feel like this would be helpful for a lot of people who are running this operating system. So go back, and
So you're along the left side menu now, scrolling down.
Oh, sorry. So here are the different kind of features you can change. So there's voiceover, there's zoom, which is what I've been using and zooming in and out here just for me because my eyesight is really bad, so I need to zoom in here. But this is really good for usage too if you can't read it, and it helps with the cursor and stuff. Then there's features I haven't even used before called what's this one?
That's hover text.
Yes, hover text. And then there's display, which I just was using with the inversion, and then so there's what's that, spoken context.
So also with the zooming in and out, you are holding the command button, or is it
Yeah, so
option? Okay, so the command button and pressing the buttons on the screen or on the keyboard. Luckily, the plus and the minus are right next to each other on the keyboard, and those, the minus would zoom out and the plus would zoom in. So that's a pretty handy feature. Oh, so you're using both the command and the option. Okay, so you're holding down two keys, command and option, and then you're pressing minus when you want to go out or plus when you want to zoom in.
all right. One more feature I wanted to do to kind of show to you as well is the voiceover, but I don't use voiceover as in traditional, like, turn it on and just have it take over your entire computer. I use like a select to voiceover. So let me go back to our presentation, which is in Safari. So let's go. Presentation. That's not in presentation mode, so we'll need to change that again too, I think. Or no, it is. I do typically is I can select the text. Actually, I can click on the text, and then I click. That's command. This one.
The key is option.
Option, and then it's this one, right? Option and
Is it option escape?
option escape, but it's not. Weird.
Yeah, maybe did you turn that? Okay. So what Mark is trying to demonstrate right now is select to speak. So he's selecting some text and getting the MacBook to read it aloud. If we can, the other thing about technology is that it never works exactly how you expect it to. So
unless our tech people have the volume down. Is that? Volume's up.
okay,
Okay, so maybe that's not working right now.
okay,
That's okay. Technology, right? We love it, and sometimes it's difficult too with us, right?
Absolutely, yeah. So the general idea, though, behind Select to Speak, Mark briefly mentioned screen readers and how they take over your whole computer. Basically, the idea is for those who have a pretty profound vision impairment or are completely blind, many times folks will use what is called a screen reader. So instead of navigating a computer via vision, you look where your mouse is pointing and you click on the exact spot where you need to click. A screen reader turns your computer into something that you interact with by the keyboard and through it speaking content to you. So that's why it's called a screen reader. It reads what is on the screen with a robotic voice. And it's true that, there are lots of different commands that you have to sort of master in order to get the hang of using a screen reader. But for those who have a profound vision impairment, it's a good skill to have. But as Mark said, his preferred way of using the text-to-speech on his screen is by just doing select to speak. So that is going to just speak the things that he particularly highlights on the screen when he needs them.
Thank you, Elliot. Yeah, this is technology is great sometimes, but when it uses, there's a lot to get used to too. Like, there are a bunch of different key commands and things you can do as well, which I have learned, but then there are some too that I kind of need to customize my own way too for doing specific things, which I'm still learning. So there's a lot to learn still, for sure. So I also want to demonstrate to you, and I know it's very difficult for us to even see it, but like just in general too, a lot of the settings in the Mac are very similar to the phone settings that we have too. I mean, there are zoom settings. So like for me, I have the inverted and then bold text, but also text to the maximum size, so you can actually see. And with the new phones, it shows up a lot nicer too. And it also does like the voiceover, select to speech, and all the different items. There are certain apps that I use as well, which unfortunately when I got my new phone, I still have to log into everything again, so I don't think I can show some of these apps, but I do use, it's called Seeing AI, which helps describe things. It does currency, but then also colors, which is important because sometimes with the low vision, it's hard to see certain colors, and when I want to match, it's difficult sometimes.
Yeah, so Mark, that's an app that you downloaded from the App Store on your phone, and it uses the camera that's built into the phone.
Yes, correct. So it uses camera that's built into the phone. It runs off of Watson, which is IBM technology, but it's also available too on Android phone.
That's right. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So that's exciting. We like the cross-phone apps because that, because you can't, I mean, I feel like that's a monopolistic thing at that point in time. Mm-hmm. But with talking about the apps here, even Apple Intelligence, which I'm still playing with and learning about, you can actually take pictures and it will describe things to you.
Yeah. I think that AI tools have really sort of opened a new frontier for assistive technologies. And a lot of the, you mentioned seeing AI, but can you talk about like Be My Eyes as like kind of the alternative to that?
So I'm not as familiar with the Be My Eyes app, but I do know that it is helpful as well in the describing feature of it. But yeah, I haven't used that.
Yeah. Well, the idea behind Be My Eyes, as it was originally rolled out, is you get connected with somebody who is working at Be My Eyes. They basically, can take a look at what's in front of you by looking through your phone's camera, and then they describe things to you. So it's a pretty cool service, but it can also take a lot of time and relies, on someone being on the other side. And so the AI tools are kind of taking that describing function and doing it rather than having another human doing it for you.
However, if you do need additional like descriptive and reading features too, there are some of the apps too are able to read like a document or a page to you as well, or menu. I know that's difficult, especially in restaurants. But also there's an app called Ira, which is very similar to Be My Eyes. However, the people aren't not volunteers, I don't think. No, they get paid for doing it. However, it is a paid service, and it does cost a little bit. Certain airports offer it for free, though, or national, maybe national like museums and stuff too. Yeah. So that's exciting. So the next piece I wanted to share today too, I think, was you may have noticed the glasses I'm wearing on my head. They are the Meta Ray-Bans AI glasses. This is definitely not an ad, but it's also very great technology to use. And because I updated my phone, these don't work today, but they have a camera on the right corner of the glasses on the right eye, and they're able to take a picture. It's the same thing too. It'll describe things to you. It will read menus. I took a picture with it, and I asked it what this dog is. Like my guide dog over here in the corner. You might not be able to see him. It said he is a golden retriever, which is cool. Mm-hmm. So I think that description is pretty awesome. So there's a lot of technology. I'm still learning about it. We're all still learning about it, but it's super helpful, especially for people like myself with low vision. So it's super exciting. Oh, and I do have a couple lower tech stuff that I use as well. This is a digital magnifier that you can set on top of like screens and menus. It'll light up, so it has some lights on it, and then you can zoom in onto any documents that you were reading. Ooh, I got turned up. Okay. And unfortunately, if you want to see that too, I do have it up here. I don't have anything with text on it up here, but we can probably get something to read. So if you want to see that later, at least see that demoed later, that's pretty awesome. And then, you don't discount technology too as like something that lights up or something that helps you read something. You can always show technology to you as like a guide dog, somebody who can help you around and navigate things, because they are additional supports that we use too. So yeah.
Thank you so much, Mark. Yeah. So when it comes to using your tech, and I happen to know that you have like kind of like a more progressive sort of condition. So like what was kind of like the experience when it came to sort of first learning about and then using all of these assistive technology options that you have?
I thought, gosh, at first, when I first started using some of this technology, it's like it was difficult for me to learn it and to be able to adapt to it, right? Because now you're kind of subject to the battery life of certain devices and or things or technology improving, and sometimes there's not a fit for everybody or myself. So at first I was a little apprehensive about it, especially like the voiceover and stuff. But then once I started using it, it was, and the zoom in feature and the inversion, like that was a no-brainer in the beginning. But then voiceover it changes the game for me. It really helped in the sense of reading and comprehension and learning, but then also being able to navigate. And since my ears are very good, so I can hear quite a bit, it's just really helpful for me to learn auditorially, and so having something read to me is nice, and it also takes away from other people having to do that.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, well, thanks for the overview, Mark, in terms of, just kind of giving us a little glimpse into how assistive technology works for you. I feel like it's kind of helpful to see it in action before I just start talking about all the different options that are out there. And so thanks for just showing the ways that it fits into your life. Are there any questions in the room or online for Mark or for me? All right, and like I said, I know it takes a little bit to type, so Katie, go ahead and just let me know if there's a question that comes through, and we'll address it.
I'll take the notes. Here.
So,
All right, so now it's your turn. So we kind of want to turn it over to the audience to see, do you want to learn more about the visual supports and assistive technology that are out there, or there's a hearing assistive technology, cognitive, and some motor skills technology too that we have as well in our presentation. So this is kind of where you're able to drive the direction of our presentation. Now, there's definitely a lot more that I didn't cover too in my vision thing that help other people too as well. And but if you want to hear it all, we can do it all too.
I'd like to hear about vision for our group.
Okay.
great. Yeah, so we will continue on with the vision. And I definitely we'll probably briefly talk about hearing. I think that cognitive is one that there's just so many things within there that could be useful to folks. And so I think that we'll spend most of our time on vision and cognitive. But again, if you're in the chat and you have a particular interest, let us know, and we will cover that. So moving on to vision difficulties. as Mark said, there's a lot of different categories of visual impairments, and it's going to look quite different for each person. All right, we got some folks joining us. Great.
Yeah, Lily is the leader of our low vision book group. You want to sit here, Lily? You can sit right here. By me. Yeah, good to see you. It's a good presentation.
All right, great.
Your chair right here. Yeah. Well, it started already, but they're talking about vision now. So
All right. Yeah, no, you jumped in at a great time.
Yeah, please.
10, but that's okay. Well, that's okay. Yeah.
We'll have the recording available as well, so that you can watch the first part of the presentation later. But Mark, if you want to continue on with talking about visual impairments.
For sure, definitely. Thank you, Elliot. So there, of course, there are different types of vision impairments, low vision and complete blindness. So there's, of course, complete blindness, but then you have some people have like partial vision. Some people can see, like with macular degeneration, they have like a little more blind spot in the center, or people with like retinitis pigmentosa, like myself, have more tunnel-like vision. So like the peripheral sides, you can't really see as much. And there are many different other types of things that come out, like floaters, or like some people see like shades, and so it's very hard to kind of really, or the spectrum, I guess, of vision disability is really is pretty wide and sometimes encompassing. So let's see. So then I guess the tools that you will use for like assistive technology will differ because of the different acuities and different differing needs, of course, too. Next slide. All right, accessibility settings. We did go over some of these too, but I know that's hold on. And I'm using a screen magnification thing right now. So this is screen magnification and zoom right there. We did go over that, but it's also how helps people too. If you zoom in, you can see like a smaller portion of the screen, which is super nice, but it's also helps people to see it and read completely.
Mm-hmm. And on the screen right now, there's an image of a computer monitor, and it's running Windows. And the that's using what's called a docked magnifier. So there is one side of the screen, which is the typical size, and then the other half of the screen is the zoomed in side, and the zoomed in portion follows where the cursor is.
And that's true, because you see some of that too, as if you have like a image in your Amazon cart too as well, they have that like cursor magnification side sometimes for some of your images, which is exciting to be able to see it. Another piece is like increasing text size. Increasing text size is super important, especially like for me. So if you don't want to increase like the screen size, but you want to increase the text size, that's definitely something to do. And you can use that in conjunction too with screen magnification. And the one thing too is change the cursor size. So have you ever lost your cursor on your screen? I definitely have. So it's you can make it bigger. You can change the color. Elliot said that there's like a cool feature in Windows where you can change it, like the color and everything.
So yeah. All of these cursor sizes and colors are going to, these are things that can be changed on all laptops and desktops, but they will have some variation. Windows in particular, there's a setting that I found that if you hit the control key on your keyboard, it kind of highlights where the mouse cursor is. And so it gives you that little visual cue to kind of see exactly where it is. And I also just wanted to mention as well, text dictation or live speech. This is something that is not necessarily just for folks with visual impairments. Like I said, there's a lot of overlap here, but the general idea there is the using your voice to type out words. And I have, it's called text dictation on some, or live speech on other devices. But that is something that is available somehow on all computers and smartphones.
Oh, that's super nice too. Sometimes it's actually, so the next slide. Sometimes it's actually available through like the virtual assistant, so like your Siri or Google or Cortana, and those are, or Meta even, because that's the newer one too, to where you can where it helps you or you can ask questions and it'll help open things for you or answer them or find the answer online for you, which is super exciting. Setting reminders, all that great stuff. I mean, the virtual assistants are there to help, and sometimes they are there to just be pesky, because I'll say sorry and it'll pull up Siri, and I just don't understand that. So next up here too, we have the built-in screen readers as well. There are some that are come already, like VoiceOver in the Mac, and iOS systems, and then there are other ones too, right?
Yeah, so Android, it's called TalkBack. On Windows, it's called Narrator. And on Chrome OS, it's called ChromeVox. But those are all these sort of built-in screen readers that anyone who has one of these devices can start using without having to download anything else. And then we also are talking about Select to Speak. That's something that Mark tried to demo, but we were not able to right now.
Yeah, so you can select the text and then it'll read it to you. I could probably do it on this computer, but that's okay. Dock mode, or dark mode, sorry. Wow, dock mode. See, obviously I'm zoomed in on this computer, right? But like it's still hard for me to read sometimes when it comes fast. So dark mode is what I use a lot, and that's what I showed too in the inversion side of things as well. And actually the screen, no. Yeah, so it basically inverts colors, makes it white text on black background, or you can even change that to, I think, blue and yellow as well for different contrasting, just for support. And eye comfort too, because I think that's also, eye strain's a big thing, especially with people with low vision.
Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, like even things like the sort of blue light control, those can be considered like visual impairments, where like as the sun goes down, the color of the screen changes. If perhaps you have like some you might get headaches or are just trying to avoid blue light. So then we're moving on to what are the apps and software that are out there. So
Yes. So there are different apps and software that you can install externally into your computer. So like JAWS, which actually stands for Job Access with Speech, which is super cool because I never learned that until I saw this presentation. And JAWS is a great, super helpful program for many people. Some people don't find it as helpful, but it might be my next route to go for screen reading systems if Apple fails me. The NVDA too, which is also another great app too. That's usually, I think, mostly on Windows type computers that are available. But I think it's also available too on the Chromebooks. So what's this?
AI-powered vision assistants. So we talked a little bit about Seeing AI, Be My AI. If you just want to talk about that a little bit again.
Yeah, so we talked a little bit about the Be My Eyes too, right? The volunteers helping out and looking through your phone camera to help describe like images or things to you, or colors or currency. Same thing for IRA as well, and those IRA is available too for free in some areas like airports or national museums, or sometimes parks too, I think. However, reception in national parks can be a little iffy from time to time.
All right, and then I'll take the last bit here because Mark is the resident Apple user, and I'm more of the Android and Windows. One of the things about Android that makes it different from Apple, and I'll try to talk about this before we talked about the user interface, the UI. When it comes to Windows, it's a very controlled UI. Like, you can't really do much. Apple just kind of wants it to look a certain way and act a certain way. So that's basically all you can get. With Android, and to some extent Windows as well, if you're a bit computer savvy, you can do things that can actually change the user interface. On Android, these are called launchers. These are also available in the App Store, so Google Play Store. And essentially, that will just take and change the whole layout of your phone. Like I am showing on the screen, big launcher. So instead of the normal sort of Android look, it has very big icons like for phone, text message, camera, pictures. I haven't tested this one because this is one that came out quite a few years ago. But even if it's not this particular one that's working now, there are definitely other launchers that are made for people with vision impairments in mind, or people who are just looking to maybe simplify everything that's on their screen, so there's not as many distractions. And we can show a demo of JAWS just to show folks what that sort of looks like. I'll just play a few seconds of this so you can see what it's like when someone uses JAWS.
Hi, my name's Jason Holt. I'm with the Universal Access Department. Today, we will be demonstrating a screen reader. With a screen reader, I, as a blind person, can navigate to a web page, and I don't use a mouse because I can't see where the mouse is pointing, but I can use a keyboard, and JAWS, the screen reader, will tell me where I am on the page and allow me to read various parts of the page. Okay, let's take a few minutes to actually see how JAWS works. Here we are at my main screen on my computer, and I want to browse the internet, so I will open up a browser. I'll press the Windows key.
Menu, search box, edit, type text in this edit field, or press up or down arrow.
And JAWS announced that I have a menu. Then I want to find my browser. My favorite browser is Firefox.
JAWS 17.0, one of Internet Explorer submit, Word 2013 submit, Firefox submenu 406.
Firefox, that's the one I want, so I'll press enter.
Enter, leaving menus, Firefox, Mozilla Firefox, start page, dash Mozilla Firefox, search clear.
That opens the browser. Now I'll press Alt-D to put my cursor in the navigation bar.
Alt-D, navigation toolbar, search.
Now let's go to our homepage, the community college's homepage. So I'll type SLCC.
Period. E-D-U.
EDU. You notice that JAWS repeats to me each character as I type it. That way if I make a mistake, I can hear it and I can backspace.
Slash.
And the other caveat that I'll give, because some folks, if they are not used to screen readers, get a little bit like concerned, like, oh my gosh, it's reading so fast. You can change the speed. Typically, the more that folks get used to screen readers, the quicker that they turn it up so that it's a little bit more of a faster experience. But if you are just trying it out, it'll speak at a much more natural rate.
Yeah, of course.
Let me just get
Come up.
Okay,
Mike,
we're just
hang
going to
on
get a
one sec.
microphone so that it can show up on the recording.
Here you go. Go ahead with your question.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, my question is, I cannot see the screen that well, not at all. I have very, very, very limited vision. It's very difficult for me to see. I can't see anything up there. And even if I had it, like almost to my face, I couldn't see. And I went to Kalamazoo when I did have vision, and they were telling me, just pretend you don't have vision, and that was hard for me to do. So I've not tried JAWS when I have, like no vision, so I can't see it. And I'm wondering, is that something I can use? Because I need something to be able to communicate. I have no ability to communicate except, with things that talk, like Siri or Alexa. So I need some method. I don't know Braille. So I don't have any way to, and the recorders are very difficult to use. So I'm wondering if this is something, JAWS, that I could use or that I could learn to use.
Yeah, this is Elliot. Definitely. I mean, this is like the use case for JAWS for sure. I actually was working with someone in a similar situation who, she had progressive vision loss. So she's like, well, I can kind of see the screen. But I suggested that she start learning the basics of screen readers early. And when I say screen readers, I'm talking about JAWS, but I'm also talking about things that are available for free on your phone already. Yeah. So we can, we can chat after this presentation, or you can come see me at our office, and we can kind of just give you a little taste of what that's like and how it feels. The idea being, yes, like this is the way that folks with low or no vision end up using their computers and stuff. At our office, we have folks who are completely blind, but are very productive workers, social workers, and it's because they have things like JAWS on their computer. But the particular one that you use, whether it's JAWS, whether it's NVDA, VoiceOver, all that, they're all going to do essentially the same thing, which is you move the focus around. So part of, you'll have your, like the first, like the thing that's like on the topmost part of the screen will be highlighted first, and they'll speak that out loud. And then you move through the different sort of elements on the screen. So I know I'm kind of getting into the technical weeds here, but I will say that, yes, screen readers, they do take a lot of practice, but they are, yes, very good and a very good way to sort of support folks with low or no vision in using the computer. They definitely take practice, though.
And if you have an iPhone, those are real easy to toggle on the voiceover, and I can show you how to do the Zoom afterwards if that might help you too. Because those are the features I use, and it's very, very helpful for me. Of course.
I'd really like to learn something that can help me communicate. And I don't know where to go to learn it or how to learn it.
Well,
that's why we're here.
Yeah. So absolutely, this is basically this presentation that we're giving is just kind of an overview of all the tools that we know that are out there. Really, it definitely is hard to do on your own. So that's why we're here to sort of guide you through that process. Like, let's turn this on. Do you end up liking this? No, you don't like that very much. Let's try something else instead. Yeah, it can definitely be really overwhelming to learn on your own, but with, a little bit of assistance and some practice, you can definitely learn that type of thing. And you mentioned Kalamazoo, the Bureau of Service for Blind Persons, I assume, training center is what you're referring to there. But they also will do things like, teach different tech skills.
Hi, my name's Jason Holt. I'm with
All right, sorry. Let's move on to the next slide.
Should we skip that video?
I'll skip this too. So far we've talked about the things that are available for free right now, basically on your phone or through a purchase on the App Store. So let's talk about the things that are assistive technology, so the things that are a little bit more involved in our external devices.
Yeah, so this is kind of cool. There's Braille displays which convert the text on the computer to Braille, which is actually pretty exciting. I really don't know how this stuff works, but there are there's Braille Touch phone type things too, which are super helpful for people who kind of I guess, see by touch or read by touch, right? I haven't learned Braille myself, but I would definitely like to kind of make it a next piece for me. But it does work for some people, and I know people who are like, they're like master typers with these things. It's pretty wild. Then there's like voice recorders too. There's like I know Orcam has a voice recorder too, and there's also some other like pens or like lower text type of things that will record voice or like lectures too. I've had attempting to record some of my graduate school lectures on one of these pens and stuff, and it helps out a lot too for just recall and replay. So that's helpful. Is there anything else on there? Oh, and yeah, or you can get as low as bump dots, right? Bump dots are like those things that help you remember where certain things are. So like on your microwave, where the start button is, or your stove, or I think I knew somebody who did it for who labeled like their clothes with a certain amount of bump dots, which would correlate to the color that it was, which is pretty kind of helpful.
So those are just little stickers with like a little bump or a specific like pattern of bumps that you can differentiate between the different things.
Yep, exactly.
All right. And then just one more thing. I mean, everything has kind of gone to, touch screens. Like that's basically the way that technology is going. And that is definitely very tough for blind users who rely on, the memory of like where to touch things or feeling the physical buttons. There are some companies that are making smartphones, so they have all the features of going onto the internet and using various apps specifically for blind users. One of those is called the Blind Shell. And the AT guys are the distributors of that. And I have not used the Blind Shell, but I can give you information of where you could learn more if you think that that is a type of phone that would be helpful to you. You know, if you miss having like the actual keypad buttons, there are people out there that are trying to bring those back.
Yep. So I miss my BlackBerry. That was so nice. Super fun to type on.
Okay. At this point, if there's any more questions from the audience, now would be a good time to ask as we wrap up this section on vision.
Where are you in graduate school?
Oh, I finished.
Okay.
I went to Cleary University, so I just graduated on Saturday.
Oh, good. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Strategic clear.
Oh, yeah, that's awesome.
Okay. We are going to kind of breeze through these next ones just so the information can get out there, but they probably won't be as relevant to this particular audience. But like I said, this recording is available, so folks can get a taste for all the different types of technology that are out there. So moving on to hearing difficulties. When we say hearing difficulties, we're talking about, of course, deafness, hearing loss, but also things like tinnitus. And then sometimes things can happen to the brain which affects the way that we perceive sound. So it might be a brain injury, something like autism or ADHD. The sensory information that they get is a bit different. And so the example that is shown in the picture on the screen here is an individual who's sitting at a computer. There's a camera on top, and he is signing to somebody who is also using sign language on the screen. So if you've been on a Zoom meeting, that type of technology has been around for a long time, and it's been very helpful to folks who communicate primarily with sign language. So like last time, we're going to start off with the accessibility settings that are available for folks with hearing loss. On Apple devices, so iOS and macOS, they have the option to auto-enable subtitles. So whenever you're browsing the internet and like a YouTube video or another video on a website, if it has an option for subtitles, Apple will remember that and that you want those on and automatically turn it on. Live captions are available on the other types of devices. I don't know that maybe since this presentation, because I know Apple's been working a lot on AI and stuff, that maybe they do have a live caption available. But when I say live captions, I'm talking about speech recognition software, so a computer that is generating text that it picks up from videos, audio, voice memos, and phone calls. So you might get some inaccuracies, but usually these are improving over time and get better.
The one feature that I enjoy, especially with this, is for like voicemails now on the phone, they'll write out what the person's saying.
Yeah, visual
in real time.
voicemail.
Yeah. So that's super helpful, especially if you don't like listening to voicemails, because like I like myself, I'll just read the text.
Yeah, saves time even for folks without hearing impairments. And then also, virtually every device will have some sort of option to have a visual notification if it's something that is typically alerted by a sound. So, sometimes computers make sounds like for like an error message that would be paired with a visual cue like a screen flash just to get that folks' attention if they're not hearing. Now we're going to move on to the apps that are available for hearing. So these are things that again, can help out, but you can go into the app store on your phone or other device to to obtain and then turn on. Live Transcribe is an Android or Chrome app. So again, it's using the speech recognition software that we talked about. That's like generating captions, but instead of just the things that are generating captions for like videos and things on your phone, this can work in real life. So the image on the screen is a illustration of a barista handing a coffee to the phone user, and the phone has Live Transcribe up, and it says, "That'll be $5, please," on the screen. So this person is able to interact and get their coffee. Many times, people with hearing impairments have done things like passed notes and stuff to communicate, but technology makes this a lot easier with things like Live Transcribe. So you don't have to go and do the writing. It just makes that text for you. There's also a lot of other transcription apps outside of Live Transcribe. Otter, Nada, those are all options for you. Nagish is one that I found for generating a live transcript of phone calls. Again, that's the speech recognition software. It could be a little inaccurate, but it takes, the audio that you would be hearing and turns it into text. I have a quick video of how Live Transcribe works, and I'll just show a clip of. This is from Google, so it's a whole promotional video. So we have visually impaired users in the room, so it's kind of like the inversion of things like audio description, where it's just a caption on the screen. He's introducing himself, says that he likes technology and he has a friend. So let's go back. He says, "I'm profoundly deaf. Everything in the world depends on our eyes. I like that technology creates tools to help people communicate. Taking time to have meals together as a family is important to us." So now you see family around. "And with Live Transcribe, we can maintain our strong family bond." There's a computer on this, or there's a phone on the table, and it is transcribing all of the things that are being said around the table. And it says, "We can all take part in the conversation now." So yeah, you have that's a little preview of how something like Live Transcribe could help folks with hearing impairments. Finally, we're moving on to AT for hearing. So these are the actual physical things that you can buy. Most hearing aids these days have a Bluetooth option. So Bluetooth is the way that your phone and computer can connect wirelessly to some type of device. So headphones and speakers are pretty common since people like to use those wirelessly. So hearing aids have kind of gone the same way of you can actually connect your hearing aid directly to your phone. So all of the audio from your phone will get routed through the hearing aid. For things that can help around the home, we have things like assistive listening devices or ALDs. Those can amplify things like in-person speech. You can also have alerting devices. So those would take important sounds and turn them into a visual cue. So a smoke alarm with a blinking light or a door knocking. There's a device that is showing the words door on a light up screen, presumably because it heard someone knocking. And then we'll talk a little bit about Alexa and the Echo Show later, but this is something else that it can do, which is listen for those things like smoke alarms and then actually also alert EMS if it doesn't get a response from you. That does cost a monthly subscription now, but that's called Alexa Alert Assist. All right. Any questions on something that we mentioned with the hearing?
My brother did deaf interpreting for his career. He lives in Sweden and did sign language interpreting for the deaf
Yeah, great. Yeah, just saying that,
this afternoon.
yeah.
Him in Sweden. They stopped the Skype already.
Yeah.
Skype to a land phone. That was wonderful that they stopped that, so now we have to Zoom.
Yeah. That's the thing about tech is that it's always changing. Our person in the audience is just mentioning a family member who teaches sign language and that
He interpreted.
interprets sign language and will often. It used to be called Skype, the way that people would video call, but that kind of got phased out, and now Zoom is kind of what most people are using.
That's right.
All right. So moving on to cognitive difficulties. This is a really broad category. And again, there's things that could probably help with a variety of things. So just some examples of what I mean when I say cognitive difficulties. These could be problems with remembering, concentrating, dizziness, sensory overwhelm, photosensitivity, so sensitivity to light or flashing lights, communicating, headaches, migraines, etc. Accessibility settings for cognition. iPhone recently released something that's called assistive access for iPhones. So that is a very simplified user interface. Makes the buttons very large. It very much limits the apps that are available. And then folks can actually send or put settings on of like who the user can send and receive messages from. So this is something that has been very interesting to the folks with IDD. Sometimes a family member will set these up, or perhaps a senior who just doesn't need a phone for that much. This simplifies the iPhone down and just makes the bare essentials much easier to find. Turning off vibrations or animations might be helpful if, just those tend to bother you, the way that your phone vibrates or, all those fancy sort of, swipe animations and stuff. You can just have it go to the next screen. All of the devices that I'm aware of have some way to make disappearing messages stay up longer. Disappearing messages, those are typically called notifications on your phone. Sometimes it's like, oh, I just got a notification, I'm starting to read it, but now it's gone and I can't see it anymore. I hear that a lot. So there is a way to slow down that amount of time. so that maybe that notification shows up on your screen for 30 seconds instead of 5. And then text dictation, live speech, we talked about that with visual impairments. Again, this can be useful in a variety of situations. That could be like in your messaging app. You can use like, there's usually a microphone button that you see when you open up your keyboard. So then instead of typing with your hands, it types out what you say. And the alternative could be using something like a virtual assistant, so that's Siri, Cortana, Google, and Meta, to do a similar thing. I got some more accessibility settings, too. We did already talk about screen readers. That might be helpful for folks with dyslexia or other difficulties with reading that aren't necessarily due to a visual impairment. Captions, which we talked about. So internet browsers, the way that we look at web pages, at least on Safari, and I know that sometimes this is available on the mobile version of Chrome as well, but there's usually something called focus mode or reader mode. So if you're sick of looking at, scrolling past a bunch of ads and related content and stuff when you're just trying to read an article, like major publications from things like, magazines and newspapers, there is a way to simplify what is on the screen. The screenshots right now show the Los Angeles Times going from a white on black or black on white background with text, and you also see like the banner that says Los Angeles Times that will appear, like no matter where you go on the screen. There's another opinion piece that they're trying to link to. Turning on focus mode makes it so you're just seeing the text, and all of that other stuff goes away. Moving on to apps and downloads. There are what are called dyslexia-friendly fonts. This presentation is in one of the dyslexia-friendly fonts, which I can't remember the name of, but there's also Open Dyslexic, which looks a bit different. Like there's more weight to the bottom of the letters, and that's apparently quite helpful for folks with dyslexia. Augmentative and alternative communication, or AAC. Back in the day, you would get these big, and some people still use them, but these big boards basically with all these different buttons, and the buttons have pictures on them, and when the user presses the button, a computer speaks that word. We can also just get that same technology right on your tablet or phone. So Speech Assist is one, Proloquo to Go is another one. You can either touch them, or there's even ones that work with eye tracking. And when I say eye tracking, that is using the camera basically on your phone or an external camera that's better at seeing where your eyes are moving, and it controls the mouse based on sort of the where it detects your eyes going. So that's a pretty high-tech option, but can be really helpful for folks who don't have the ability to touch things very accurately. Voice memos, those are things that are, usually your phone will come with some type of note-taking app, and they will also include a way to just sort of record instead of typing. Then finally, we have... actually, I think I have another page because there's just so many here that we can talk about. Recently, a developer who has autism developed a set of AI tools that are called Goblin tools, which are designed to help with certain cognitive tasks. So you can actually just go on your phone to goblin.tools on your web browser. And take a look at all these tools. There is one thing that I like called the to-do list. So I'll just give an example from my life. I'm moving, and there's a lot of things that are associated with moving. So if I'm getting a bit overwhelmed by I don't even know where to start, it uses, you can type in moving houses, and then using AI, it will sort of generate some suggested, like, well, first you need to call this company, then you need to gather the boxes, and it's kind of a way to assist with cognitive tasks like that. Time estimator is another one if you don't really have a good sense of like how long, again, like packing all of your stuff would take. I guess that it can do that. I haven't looked at that one very much. Another thing called written communication tone analyzer. So some folks with autism are like, I don't quite understand if this is sarcasm or if they're actually mad at me when they say this. You can sort of copy, paste, drop that text into the tone analyzer, and the AI will give its idea of whether or not it's something that is an idea of what the tone is. And again, it's AI, so it's a computer, so it might not get everything, but it gives a good place to start. Moving on, there are so many different apps out there that you can get that are related to different types of cognitive issues. There's one called PTSD Coach that has been used, I think, developed by the VA, actually. Cognitive rehabilitation games. So maybe someone has had a stroke and they are trying to affected their ability to speak or to recognize language. Sometimes turning that into a game can be a good way to get someone into the practice of retrieving that language. So these might be done with a speech-language pathologist or another healthcare provider, but Witty Words is one that I think anyone can download. It's a vocabulary game, and it's built around seniors with memory loss just to keep keep up with language use, basically. Many apps have self-care reminders. There's one out there that's called Finch, where you're taking care of a little virtual bird, and the virtual bird, needs you to do things like if you set goals like step outside, take my medication, all of that. That makes the bird happy, basically. So again, turning things into a game can sometimes make it easier to take care of these difficult cognitive tasks. Guided meditation apps. You can also just search on YouTube for guided meditations. Some are available through podcasts. That can help with folks, and that can honestly help with anybody to be a little bit more mindful. And that's just a taste. There are so many other things that could be considered to be apps for cognition. AT for cognition. Now we're looking at the physical devices. There are safety devices like alerts for stoves that are left on. Also, there are appliances now that are built with smart technology, so it will actually know. It'll send an alert to your phone if hey, the stove is on. The more low-tech things will do, and I say low-tech, but they still have motion sensors basically, and it will play a chime hey, no one's been in front of this stove for 5 minutes. Is that okay? The stove's on, but, no one's been here for 5 minutes, So again, that can help with that reminder. Reading pens are a new thing that are being used in teaching reading and dyslexia. It kind of looks like a highlighter, and you can drag it. It has a little camera on the end of it, though. It's a pen with a little camera on the end of it. You drag that across text, and then the text appears on a screen, and you can get it to speak what it reads. AAC boards and systems, I talked about that. There's one on the screen right now. It's called a Go Talk. It's a large tablet. This one's kind of meant for kids just starting school. There are buttons for things like bathroom, lunch, gym, yes, no, certain things that people may want to communicate. And then smart homes and devices and smart hubs. We'll look at those. These can be helpful for a variety of variety of disabilities. So when I say smart home devices, I'm talking about things like Amazon Echo or Alexa. There are other sort of ecosystems, they're called, basically. So if you have, like Google has their own smart home ecosystem, Apple does, and like I said at the beginning, the best one to use is the one that you are most familiar with, or that people in your life who can help you out are most familiar with. But this one actually does have audio descriptions, and it's an example of people using their Alexa and controlling things with their voice.
Words appear. This is Alexa for every day.
Alexa, turn on kitchen.
Lights illuminate.
Echo, what's on my shopping list?
You have 3 items on your shopping list.
A black and white photo of a soldier and a woman.
Alexa, call Sam and Susan.
Calling Susan.
A man in a power chair.
Alexa, turn on bedroom lights.
Okay.
Echo, call Grandpa.
Calling Grandpa.
A woman with a guide dog.
Alexa, tell me a dog fact.
A 1-year-old dog is as mature, physically, as a 15-year-old human.
A woman with a cane.
Alexa, what am I holding?
It looks like Tea Forte World of Teas.
Alexa, tell Dagmar it's time.
A robot vacuum rolls off.
You want to go for a ride?
A boy in a car laughs.
Alexa, trigger door open.
A young man moves his power chair to the door with a mouth stick. This is Alexa for everyone. Alexa, learn more at amazon.com/Alexa accessibility.
All right, and just because Mark mentioned it, and another thing about these Alexa devices is that you can make the commands whatever you want. So the individual, he doesn't just have to say like, turn on Alexa, turn on Roomba. He says he's named his Roomba, so that robot vacuum, he's named it Dagmar and says, Alexa, tell Dagmar it's time. And that is his command to turn on the...
Words appear.
Turn on the thing. So that's a neat little thing, too. All right. We just got... we're getting... we only have 30 minutes left of the presentation, and I want to leave time for questions and interaction, and also to help other folks out. So we'll just go through some motor difficulties as well. Examples are things like hand tremors, limited mobility in hands or arms, cerebral palsy. Some forms have motor difficulties associated with them and can affect different parts of the body. General joint and limb weakness is not as easy to use your hands. Spinal cord injury, where you, or some other sort of paralysis of the upper limbs, and then folks who have gotten an amputation or are born with a limb difference. All these can fall under the category of motor difficulties that there are devices to help out with. Accessibility settings. Voice control or voice access. It depends on which device you have, but that's what this typical tool is usually called. That is using your voice to tell the smartphone or computer where to click or scroll to. So this is helpful for folks who do still have vision, because it will sort of, you can say, click on Facebook app. Click on this part of the app. But yeah, they don't just have but it lacking the sort of ability to use their hands, basically, to use that. Dwell timing, that is essentially if clicking as well as scrolling is a barrier, you can have what is called dwell timing, where it will just register a click if your pointer stops moving for a certain amount of time. And then there's also ways to make the computer fully operable by just using keyboards. You don't need to use a mouse at all. Those are available on usually all devices in some way. I'll show this one.
Wake up.
Yeah, I'll show this one.
Microphone icon. Voice control is a breakthrough feature that gives you full control of your devices, with just your voice, period. It's a whole new way to do everything you love, period. Like this. Correct love.
A list of numbered options.
16.
The word is replaced by a red heart.
Open photos.
Ian sits in a wheelchair in front of an iMac.
Scroll up. Show numbers. 13.
A man with a bike.
Click share.
Share options.
3.
Messages.
Tim. Next field.
Ian composes a message.
Let's ride this one today. Thumbs up emoji. Click send. Open maps. Show grid. Long press at 20.
A marked location on the Pacific Coast Scenic Byway.
Open app switcher.
Ian's wheelchair-mounted iPhone.
4. Tap share. Tap Tim. Tap send.
Now, Ian rides his motorized wheelchair across a pedestrian bridge over a blue river. Later, he uses a sip and puff controller to ride along a forest trail. Tim bikes up next to him.
Hey, good to see you. Open music. Turn up the volume.
Tim and Ian look out over a glistening mountain lake, an Apple logo.
So that's an example of a very experienced, voice access user. He also was able to switch between using it on his iMac computer and his iPhone. Other settings for motor difficulties, speech recognition or dictation. We talked about that, using the microphone to type out words instead of the keyboard. You can control the pointer speed on any device that has a mouse attached to it. So if you find that, you move your mouse a little bit and it shoots across the screen, you can turn that sensitivity down so that you need to move your hand a lot more in order to get the pointer where you want to go. Virtual assistants, again, big one for motor difficulties as well. Something that's called glide typing or slide to type. These are available on Android and iOS. When these are on, typing on a keyboard gets a lot easier. So instead of touching each letter individually, essentially you just sort of slide your finger over the location of where the different parts of the keyboard are, the different letters on the keyboard, and then it'll give you suggestions for what it thinks that you meant to say. So like in this example, the person has moved their finger from B, S, or B, E, S, and T. S and X are kind of close, and so are N and M, or B and N, sorry. So the thing is, I think this is Apple. It has given the suggestion for both best as well as next. So perhaps if they were a little bit inaccurate with where their finger was, it'll still give you, like options basically. In terms of more in-depth things, eye gaze or head control, those are ones that will be used usually with the help of an occupational therapist, since these are pretty complex systems. But eye gaze, we talked about that a little bit. That uses a camera to sense where your eyes are looking, and that becomes sort of your mouse or the way of controlling your device. There's also an app that I found on Android called Sesame Access, and instead of using your eyes, it kind of looks at where your head is tilting to move the screen or the cursor in a certain direction. And then Google Look to Speak, that's a very limited version of an eye gaze system that uses the camera on your phone or tablet to select pre-programmed phrases. And I think that is the only one that I'll look at in the interest of time. This is an actual eye gaze system.
Hi, my name.
Sesame Enable is...
Open Sesame. Okay, here we go.
So that's one where they're using their their head, basically. And then this is a quick sort of preview of what Look to Speak does.
What I want to talk about in this short movie is an app from Google. It's called Look to Speak, and it's free, and it's only on Android, but it's amazing.
How are you?
So it's quite difficult to film, but you can see here Joshua, my son, is operating this with his eyes. It's incredible. It's a little like eye gaze. It's not as complex. It's a lot more simple. But the catch is it works on your mobile phone.
Can you repeat that?
You can also modify the phrases that this will actually speak. I found it really, really interesting. It's pretty easy to use, doesn't take too much practice. It's absolutely free. It's Google. It's called Look to Speak. It is only available on Android, but it's wonderful. What I want to talk about in this...
So, yeah, the person was moving his eyes left, and then it sort of... there's like some pre-programmed phrases on the left and some on the right. The one that he wants to use is on the left, so he looks his eyes left, and then it kind of takes the ones that are on the left and then puts... It sort of like gets more and more specific, basically, until you're left with one option, and then you look up on your phone camera to speak it. So that's a really neat little thing that can be helpful if folks... that's like a backup for folks who usually have a more complex AAC device, but maybe just want something simple on their phone, just in case. AT for motor difficulties, we're looking at taking Amazon Alexa or other smart home hubs and connecting it to other things around your home. So when we saw in that first video, the person turning on the lights, with their voice, that is the combination of having an Alexa and having a smart light bulb, or perhaps a smart plug. It just basically is something that connects to the Alexa wirelessly and allows you to use your voice to control if it turns on or off. And other things like coffee makers or like thermostats and stuff will have more complex sort of options as well.
Yeah, there's one that I've seen with a smart air fryer, which is kind of cool. So
yeah, even air fryers. Mouth stylus or extra long stylus. Some folks who have paralysis are fine just using keeping something in their mouth, basically, and that becomes like their way of touching the screen, is a stick that kind of runs from their mouth to the screen. There are also just extra long styluses for people with some control, but not much. Eye tracking mouse, like we saw. It's often a camera, but sometimes it's a pair of glasses, and the eye movement detecting is happening right in the glasses. Switches, these are just big buttons, basically, and you can program them to do a certain action, like click, or, you can even like set this up for a whole video game and have different, actions associated with each button. And then there are also alternative types of mice that are less sophisticated than eye tracking. A trackball mouse is, you control it via a little ball that sort of rolls in place. So you're not moving the mouse around on your desk, you're just kind of moving this little ball. And so your hand's not going all over the place along the desk. Joystick, we talk about video games, similar thing, like they used to have in the arcades. And then sip and puff, there was an example of an individual using that with his motorized wheelchair in one of the videos where if he breathes in, that's like one type of click, but breathes out is another type of click. And then also the device that goes in his mouth also can kind of be controlled with his teeth a bit by just like little head movements to move like a cursor around. Yeah, I wanted to make sure that we got through every single thing that I have on this presentation, but I know it's a lot. Not everything is going to be relevant to every person, but that is the sort of long and short of what I currently know about assistive technology. And there's plenty more out there and plenty more being developed. Actually, before I go into questions, I just wanted to let folks know about what we do at Disability Network Washtenaw, Monroe, Livingston. We have tech services. Wednesday is the best time to come in and use our computer lab. We are going to be extending our walk-in hours, though, so you can honestly come in any day, but from between 11 and 3. If you want to use the computer at another time, just give us a call ahead. Our number is 734-971-0000. 0277. And I can give that again. 734-971-0277. We have offices in all 3 locations now, Ann Arbor, Monroe, and Livingston. But Livingston, do you have a computer lab, or is that just the meeting system?
Oh, no, we do have a laptop for people to use if they want to come out, and also to tech help.
Yeah, perfect. Yeah, so any one of our offices, you can get some tech help or test out a computer that maybe you haven't used before. We can do one-on-one trainings for certain things, like how to, set up an email, how to set up this account, Zoom, other things that, we can sort of provide some one-on-one assistance with. Or you can just come into our Ann Arbor office. We have a lot of... we have some of the things that we mentioned in this presentation, like an Amazon Echo. Obviously you've seen it can do quite a bit, but if you want to actually kind of get a chance to try it out for yourself, come on in. We also have a Chromebook, a Apple laptop, a MacBook, and a Windows laptop. So whichever operating system you're most familiar with, or if you want to try one out, those are kind of the big 3 right now. You can come on in and test those out.
Would you ever be able to come and speak to our low vision group at the Turner Senior Resource Center?
Yeah, would you ever be able to come to our group and speak to us?
Absolutely, yes, yeah. We can also give this presentation other places in the community.
We can just focus too on one area.
Yeah. We don't have to give this whole presentation either. Like we could just focus in on the vision and get real deep into things and make it a little bit more interactive. Yeah, would be happy to do that. All right, and then the last part of our presentation are just some resources that we have. I can send you these individually. When you can't get us for assistive technology help, you can always call the Michigan Assistive Technology Program, or MATP. They're based out of Lansing, but they will come to you anywhere in the state of Michigan to demonstrate a device, loan it to you. Can't get anything to keep, but they will work with you to figure out what type of device would be best for you. So that's Michigan Assistive Technology Program. There's also the Michigan Assistive Technology Loan Fund. So if you're looking to make a large purchase, like a ramp, stair lift, or putting in a whole home automation system.
Or JAWS, or even...
even JAWS, because that can get kind of expensive. They can give you low interest loans to finance those large purchases. There's an online resource which I use all the time. It's called My Computer My Way. It's a very, you can look at the different settings. I got a lot of what from this presentation from that My Computer My Way website, because you can filter by specific impairment, specific device, and it'll kind of give you a bunch of ideas for settings to turn on, basically, to make your device more accessible. The AT Industry Association, there is a whole industry behind AT, and they have something on their website that talks about other ways to get AT funding. The United Spinal Association Tech Access Initiative. It's a little bit of a mouthful, but they do a lot of online things like videos and articles about AT. And then
what is your organization called?
We are Disability Network. Washtenaw, Monroe, Livingston. So those are...
Disability Network.
Yep. And then the final thing that I want to share, which I really like, is called Smart Homes Made Simple. That is out of the Pennsylvania Assistive Technology Program. Just so you know, all 50 states have their own assistive technology program. They have just lots of like plain language guides and like firsthand accounts of how they set up their smart homes and all the things that it helps them do independently. So that is the end. I feel like I've been talking for a long time, but I'm happy to take any more questions or chat with you all one-on-one after this presentation to figure out if any of these will work for you.
Any other questions? No? All right. Well, thank you, Mark and Elliot, so much for that informative presentation and for coming to the library. We really appreciate it. And we loved having you here. Thanks a lot.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you very much.